guys, we're going to start section 2, chapter 2, 2.2, Conditional Statements tonight. I hope you guys are feeling good about your test. I'm sure it went great. What conditional statements are the study of if-then statements. Okay, so basically it is an if-then statement. If it's sunny outside, then you will go to the beach. All right, that's just an example of a conditional statement. The symbol for it is if P, then Q. P is our hypothesis and Q is our conclusion. All right, and see, like I said, you read it if P, then Q. If we were to write it as a diagram, we would do a Venn diagram. All right, and what it means is a diagram. If you have P down here, then it has to be Q because it's inside the world of the Q. So if you have P, then it has to be Q. If then, a conditional statement. All right, the hypothesis is the P part, always following the if. We'll look at these in an example in a second. And the conclusion is the Q part, always following the then. Here's an example. What are the hypothesis and the conclusion? If an animal is a robin, then the animal is a bird. Okay, so the hypothesis, an animal is a robin. All right, that's after the if, right? So it's our hypothesis. And then we have the conclusion. The animal is the bird. And that is after our then. The animal is a bird. So our if-then statement, if the animal is a robin, then the animal is a bird. Has a hypothesis and a conclusion. And as a Venn diagram, we would write robin right here, and if it's a robin, then it has to be a bird. All right. Don't overthink these too much. They're not too bad, if-thens. Okay, so let's look at another one. We want to write it as an if-then. So dolphins are mammals. We would say if an animal is a dolphin, that's our P, our hypothesis, then it is a mammal. And that would be our conclusion, our Q. Okay, so we have if-thens. Then, of course, we always have to take them a step further to a negation. It is the opposite of the statement. What do I mean by that? You're going to negate something. Example, the sky is blue. If you were to do a negation, you would simply say the sky is not blue. Not being the key word here, not blue. And if we were to write that as a symbol, it would just be this little squiggly line. The squiggly line stands for the negation or the not. So if P not Q, if P not Q is how you would read that one. Okay, so now we have the converse. And I always like to think of it as converse as a shoe, and another shoe is a flip-flop. So what you're going to do is you're going to exchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. You're going to flip-flop them. So an example, here's your original statement. If you are a quarterback, then you play football. So we're going to do the converse. We're going to flip-flop these. And it's really just this simple. If you play football, then you are the quarterback. You're just flipping your statement backwards. All right, so now we've taken our Q and moved it over, and now it's our P. Okay, so we flipped our P and our Q. And also, is this statement true now? If you play football, then you are a quarterback. Well, no, that's not really true, right? Because there's other positions somebody could play. All right, that is the converse. And now we're going to talk about the inverse. So we go back to our original statement. If you are a quarterback, then you play football. And what we're going to do is we're going to negate the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional statement. Basically, we're going to put a not in front of it. So If you are not a quarterback, then you do not play football. And is this statement true? If you are not a quarterback, then you do not play football. Well, no, because again, you could be a different position. All right, and then we move here into the contrapositive once we get there. And what we're going to do is we're going to negate again. We're going to put a not in front of it. But this time, we're going to put a not in front of the hypothesis and the conclusion of the converse. All right, so we're taking the converse, that statement that we flipped, and we're going to negate that. So here's our statement that we flipped negated. If you do not play football, then you are not a quarterback. Is this statement true? If you do not play football, then you are not a quarterback. Well, let's think about these. Okay, so equivalent statements. They have the same truth. We're going to look at the three statements that we've just created, the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. And we're going to see if they're equivalent statements, if they are true. So the converse, if you play football, then you are a quarterback. Okay, no, not equivalent. It's not an equivalent statement because a tailback plays football, and they're not the quarterback. Now we look back to our inverse. If you are not a quarterback, then you do not play football. Again, not equivalent or true because, again, a tailback plays and is not a quarterback. And then finally we get to our contrapositive. If you do not play football, then you are not a quarterback. Yes, it's an equivalent statement because if you're not playing football, then there's no way you're going to be a quarterback. All right, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. The contrapositive and the original statement, if they're true, if the original statement's true, then the contrapositive is 99% of the time always true. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Bye, guys.